I'm really excited for the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale. If you're just like me, then this video is going to be for you. We're going to cover every single detail we know about the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale, and this is not just based on the blog post that they released, which we will cover as well, and I will give you my thoughts on that, but also leaked gameplay footage, which I've taken some key notes from this, and unfortunately we can't share the footage with you because it's in the Battlefield Labs test, and we didn't actually test this, we just got to see some leaked footage, and I do want to cover some important details from that as well, which I think will be something interesting you would like to know. But first of all, the Battle Royale itself is free to play, and I think that's going to be super important for everyone who wants to get their hands on Battlefield 6, either test the game before they buy it, or just play the Battle Royale experience alone. And all of that is super important. They will have seasonal progress. They're going to have that in the multiplayer anyways, with some kind of battle pass system. And that will be the way we're going to be going for Battlefield. Now, we do have some of the blog post details right here, so we'll cover that off first and also relatively quickly. So the Battlefield is no stranger to epic maps, and all new map has been built for the Battle Royale experience. It features a diverse array of tactical points of interest with distinct layouts. So they've essentially made a brand new map, more or less, for the Battle Royale experience. So it doesn't combine maybe many elements from the existing multiplayer maps, which is very interesting to see, because when I've seen the leaked footage of the map itself and obviously the gameplay, it did look as if it was nothing to do with any of the maps that we have currently. Now, they have taken obviously assets and elements from those maps, which we will probably see as we get our hands on the game when it actually releases, or some type of beta, but it does look as if it is a brand new map experience, which is definitely something I can pretty much confirm having seen the leaked footage, and there is a lot of leaked footage already out there, by the way. Now, vehicles, players can find common transport vehicles around the map and even unlock powerful armored vehicles to turn the tide in battle. And this is something I do want to mention is super important here, because the way it looked inside the gameplay is that the regular vehicles, so transport vehicles, do have some weaponry on them, so that's pretty obvious. But when it comes to the actual armored vehicles like tanks, they're actually hidden behind kind of vehicle crates essentially. So you need to go up to the vehicle crate, and they're only located on certain parts of the map as well. And once you go up to the vehicle crate, it takes a couple of seconds before the vehicle actually gets unlocked for you. So essentially an enemy team could come up and challenge you for this vehicle before you even get access to it. And I think that's a very balanced way of doing this, because obviously if there is a fight for the vehicle, you win that team fight, then you are rewarded with getting the vehicle. Now, I wonder if it alerts local enemy teams. I don't know if that is a thing. It's very hard to kind of judge based off of just one gameplay footage that we got to see, but it is something that I think is the best way of actually introducing this, right? Instead of just having all the best vehicles lying around the map so anyone can get a hold of them, this is a much better way of actually doing it. Moving on into tactical destruction now. Destruction will be everywhere in this mode, from creating pathways through walls to toppling buildings. We look forward to seeing players' ingenuity and destruction and how they use it to defeat their opponents. And this is just pretty straightforward, this part of it. Very similar to what we have inside Conquest multiplayer, where you can essentially destroy complete buildings to gain access to people who are maybe potentially camping inside, or whatever it may be. Now, it seems like some buildings are not quite as destructible as others from the footage we got to see, and some take a little bit extra damage to actually destroy them. But regardless, most of the building's assets have been taken from multiplayer from the looks of things, and it will be very, very similar. So we are going to see destructible maps. We didn't get to see any Levolution inside the Battle Royale, but I'm assuming there will be certain points of interest where this does take place, and obviously that will be really interesting to see. Talking about squad play now, and for this test, each player will feature 100 players organized into 25 4-player squads, fighting to be the last one standing, communicating with your squad through pings, text, chat, will boost the experience of tactical options, second chances between support class revives and mobile redeploy options. There are multiple tools to keep you in the fight. Now, first thing I do want to mention is that we got to see some footage of revives, and it's not just a support class that can revive teammates. Every single class can revive a teammate. We got to see an engineer revive one of their teammates. The only thing I do want to mention is that support classes will be able to revive much faster, so that is something else that I do want to point out. Mobile redeploy options, we didn't really see too much of what that actually is, to be honest with you, but what we got to see is one of the classes was actually able to get a brand new second chance in the game. So essentially they've got 2 lives off rip essentially, and once you die you then get finished by an enemy player. You then start a redeploy timer, and this is about, I think it was 40 seconds or 30 to 40 seconds. I can't remember the exact time, but once this is started, I believe your teammates still need to stay alive throughout this time because the teammates never died in the footage that we've seen. However, we don't really know for 100% certain fact. However, there was a redeploy timer for 30 to 40 seconds. Once the timer was done, you essentially are able to fly back in to the game as normal, and then you need to loot up again and do all the normal stuff. But again, like I said, we're not 100% sure which class this was that actually got the redeploy, and also we don't know if you need to have your teammates stay alive throughout that kind of procedure, almost kind of like Resurgence inside Warzone. Then we're moving on to the deadliest ring in BR. We set out to bring out the most dangerous ring in gaming to Battle Royale that instantly kills players upon contact, with urgent warnings that the fire approaches. Soldiers will be pushed into more intense firefights as the game space continues to shrink. There's no jumping in and out, there's no using it for cover, no walking through it, and if you get caught in it, you're done. Now, the way this kind of sounds is like it's super dangerous. Now, it is a dangerous ring in the BR, I suppose. Now, if you're touching it and you're not fully submerged in the zone, essentially, then you won't die immediately. You do take burn damage, so that's something I do want to point out. So you don't really want to be submerged fully inside the ring. But if you are touching it, and let's say you've got your back right to the ring and you're trying to escape it, then you will take some kind of burn damage, but you're not going to die as soon as you touch it, right? It makes it sound as if you're going to just touch the ring and then you're immediately dead. That's not how it works. Classes, training, and traits. Each squad gets to plan and choose which of the classes they will bring into the Battle Royale, from a balanced squad of all 4 classes to a focus squad of all 1 class. Your team will use unique strengths and weaknesses of the classes to adapt, overcome the unique tactical scenarios that they encounter in the Battle Royale experience. Once the match begins, you are not able to change your class for the rest of that match. Players will start the match with 2 default gadgets from their chosen class. Like I said, this is some cooldown, so essentially the cooldown starts at 0 and you need to wait for it to actually build up. During each match, players level up by earning XP. A variety of methods such as defeating opposing players or completing missions. Be on the lookout for intel cases. Finding these is crucial to provide XP to the whole squad. As players level up through their classes training, they will gain access to new traits to enhance their chosen class and give them their tactical edge in the match. So this is kind of similar to the kind of level 1, 2, and 3 that we have at multiplayer. It kind of builds up from that. One example would be the assault class being faster in equipping an armor plate, which makes them harder to defeat in their next or current firefight. And in the Battlefield labs, we'll be watching how players use the classes to build the most effective squads and unique traits throughout each game. For example, just how crucial is the support class supply crate for maintaining ammo? How effective are the engineer's abilities when used against fighting vehicles? So one thing I do want to mention is that vehicle play in this is very useful. I do see it being very, very popular, especially for getting around the map, and also in terms of destroying buildings. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that vehicles don't disable in endgame, so it's a weird concept that the vehicles are not disabled in endgame, especially when an enemy team could not have a vehicle. So I don't know how they played that one out, but from the footage that we saw, vehicles don't seem to be disabled at all throughout the match. Now, when it comes to the weapons kind of system and how this is all working, it seems as if pretty much you get all your kind of class equipment off rip, and then you build upon it throughout the match. And then the weapons are something we're going to discuss in just a moment. But this is all pretty straightforward stuff, to be honest. We did get to see this in the Battle Royale leaked footage, like I said, so this bit is nothing too complicated. I do want to touch on the armor plates though quickly. The way the armor plates work, essentially there is some kind of satchel idea similar to Warzone, but it works slightly different. So you can have an armor plate and you can store armor plates as well, but you can only put one armor plate in until you find a kind of double satchel type scenario where you can put in 2 armor plates as well. So there is a way of adding more than 1 armor plate if you find a satchel, but you can still store armor plates to kind of add them in later on. So again, very similar to what we have in Warzone at the moment. And then we've got the arms race. Throughout each match, the players would explore the map, complete missions, and battle for loot to define their arsenal. There are 5 tiers of weapons to loot, along with attachments, throwables, gadgets, strike packages, armor upgrade kits, and custom drops for favorited weapons. These items can be found across experience through general loot crates, class specific crates, unlocked armored trucks, missions rewards, or looting defeated enemies. Missions will have squads to try and complete objectives that offer extra rewards to gain a competitive edge over opponents. Tasks range from unlocking high value caches to planting explosives to eliminate mission critical targets. Mission details will outline the available rewards like weapon cache, vehicle key, or mobile redeploy unit, leaving it up to each squad to decide if the risk is worth the potential reward. Once the mission objective is complete, rewards will be airdropped in, so squads should stay alert for others who may attempt to steal them. These missions are crafted to challenge your squad's teamwork and reward precise execution under pressure, with the potential to shift the momentum of battle. Loot, armor, and how players engage with missions are key to the flow of play. We can't wait to see how players connect and push these areas of gameplay. I do want to discuss the arms race a bit more in depth because each part of this has a lot of detail in it, and we got to see a bit more in the leaked gameplay footage as well on how this is actually going to work. And this part is the part where you're actually going to get a lot more advantages over the enemy teams if you complete objectives, and this is what I want to cover. So when it comes to the basic loot, like it says, it's got 5 tiers of weapon loot, and that's going to determine what kind of attachments you have on your weapons, what weapons you get. Like I said, grenades, gadgets, strike packs, all that stuff is all part of the standard loot across the map. You also get armor upgrade kits, which is exactly what I was talking about earlier on, where you can apply more than 1 armor plate as well. So that's something that you will want to have when you're playing your games. Now, when it comes to getting your loadout weapons, which is something that people were concerned about, there's no way of getting loadout weapons unless you complete the objective where you plant explosives and then you kind of destroy a certain part of the map, and then the loadout kind of flies in. Enemy teams can wait for that for them to then steal it afterwards as well. So that's something I do want to mention. So when it comes to loadouts, there's no kind of free loadout drops like we get in Warzone, for example. And even then, you're only going to grab your weapons from a loadout drop. You're not going to grab anything else, right? You already have all your equipment with you. You can also get additional armor, satchels, and things as well. So that's one thing I do want to like add on top of that when it comes to the loadout drops themselves. Then we also have the vehicle keys. So this is to unlock the heavy armored vehicles. So you do need a vehicle key, then you need to go to the location where the vehicle is, and then you unlock the armored vehicle. You don't just get armored vehicles lying around the map, like I mentioned earlier on. Mobile redeploy units is not something we actually got to see. I'm assuming this is the kind of second chance thing they're talking about. You need to complete an objective and then you get a redeploy unit to kind of bring back your teammates. And this is going to be something very similar to kind of like buying back teammates inside Warzone. However, you need to complete an objective and then you get a redeploy kind of unit, and then you can bring back a teammate from that. Again, we never got to see much detail on this, but that part is something that we've yet to see. Now, a couple of extra things I do just want to add in, and additional information is when it comes to these sprinting mechanics and movement, it looks like it's almost identical to multiplayer. You pull out your knife, you could run faster, you could slide, it's all normal there. Nothing has changed from the kind of movement aspect of it. Then, like I said, the vehicles don't kind of disable near end game. This is one thing I maybe have a slight issue with, because we don't really know what's going on with that, because that could be pretty overpowered. I mean, Warzone had a similar issue to this, so we're trying to kind of stop these issues before they actually take place in this game. Now, there's not much else we got to see other than what is in the leaked footage, and the game does look extremely fun to play, which is obviously one of the more important parts to this game. But we'll get to see more and more as we get closer to launch for this game. But if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new and you want to see more Battlefield 6 content, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching.